Hi.
Oh,
Hello.
yay.
Are we gonna wait like a few seconds or should we just start?
We can wait a few seconds.
Okay.
I think we don't have a lot of people who have kept up to this point, which is kind of sad.
I know it is. Okay. Doggy is settled. Let's start.
My dogs are gone. They were all barking like 5 minutes before we started this live. Okay. So, hello and welcome to our City of Glass live show. Thank you so much for watching and for reading with us this month. I'm Bianca and this is my co-host, Laia.
Hello. Thank you so much for joining our live show and for reading with us this month. And just want to make sure you all know that this live show is a safe space and we expect everyone to be kind, nice humans. So, yeah. Welcome.
Yeah. Thank you for joining us. Okay. So did we want to talk about some of our general thoughts about the book? Did you want to start?
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, I'm glad I figured it out.
Banners. Should I start? I guess
Yeah,
I
you
can
can
start.
start. Yeah,
Okay.
I think I started last time, so you can start this time.
Okay, so this book has been my favorite book so far that we've read so far. Like, so out of the three that we've read, this one has been my favorite, and I've enjoyed it the most.
Yeah,
Sorry.
me too.
Yeah. So yeah, I really, really like this book, and what I really like about it is that the whole thing took place in Idris and Alicante, and like I think I really like that about it. Like I like the setting, and I like that pretty much the whole book took place there. I
Yeah,
really enjoyed that.
I loved it as well. Yes, I also said here from some of my general thoughts that I loved the world building while they were there, and now we got a chance to see their world a bit more and how they function outside of the mundane world. I guess, and it's like their safe space where they don't really have to do a lot of fighting and things. So that was nice.
Yeah.
Well,
Well, there was fighting, but yes,
yeah.
I really liked it. Okay, and then I also wrote that I didn't expect Sebastian to give himself away that early. Like I kind of like I knew eventually they were going to find out, but it happened super early in the book, in my opinion. So I didn't expect it to happen that early, and then, but I guess it makes sense because then a lot of stuff happens. But I honestly thought it would happen later. I don't know. That's weird.
I didn't really think that. Because I remembered kind of when it happened. So I knew that when they were gonna break Hodge out, that was gonna be when Sebastian starts being bad again. Although, like, he did. Wait, let me rephrase. I picked up that Jace was suspicious of him really early on, which I don't feel like I noticed before, but this time I was really like, Jace knows what's up. He has good instincts, so I really like that. And how it was like subtle, but it was still there.
Yep. Yes. And let's see what else. I have like 3 more points. Okay. This is not even a comment on the story, but I completely forgot that Isabel like saved Jace at the end. You know, like in my head, like I completely expected Jace because I knew Sebastian was gonna lose his hat, and I completely thought it was Jace who did that, and Jace who like actually won the fight by some kind of fluke. And then when Isabel came, I was like, oh, okay. Like completely didn't expect that or remember that happened, and I thought that was pretty cool.
I forgot that scene as well. Actually, I was surprised when she showed up, but I loved that she did show up. And I liked her in the book a lot. I mentioned that a bit later, I think. Yeah, but that was an interesting scene. And Jace was super vulnerable in it as well, which I also don't remember. I also remember him being a bit more like, I guess, in charge and fighting a lot, where he was like in and out of consciousness all the time and like really at the end of his rope there, and he actually needed to be saved. So twice actually, which was pretty cool.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah.
I also didn't expect that scene. But I love it because I feel like Isabel is finally developing as a character.
Yeah, I love that as well.
And then Aileen was completely different to what I expected. Because in my head, like I obviously know the Aileen of today, the Aileen of the Lost Book of the White. This Aileen is a different person.
I hated her in this, quite honestly.
And like she's one of my favorite characters. Like I love her because she's like so badass and she's like so cool and so like edgy, and then she just wasn't. Like she was this little like not pathetic, but this little like pathetic little girl who was just a bit annoying, you know. She was
I feel like
completely different.
maybe she didn't have her like character arc in mind yet when she first wrote her. I think maybe she was just like convenient there for the plot to cause a bit of conflict between Jace and Clary. So maybe that's why she was really different. But I really found her annoying. Really annoying.
Me too, and I was so sad about it because she really is one of my favorite characters. And like I agree, like her like plot or whatever storyline wasn't there because like her personality wasn't even there. Like,
Yeah.
does she change once she meets Helen, or when does she change? When does she become herself? Because she's not herself in this book.
Maybe what happened to her in this book was also a bit of trauma that maybe shaped who she is later, because they weren't really clear with what actually happened to her with that demon. Like, because I don't know, in my mind it went to a kind of like sexual assaulty place, because it very it said that something about like her chest, and then it was hooked into her belt loop, so it was very like sexually oriented. So I feel like maybe that was a bit of a different kind of trauma for her that maybe shaped who she was later. Like, I don't know, it wasn't explicitly stated, but that was just the vibe I got.
Maybe.
I don't know if you picked up on it.
No, the only thing I remember is that the demon was on top of her. That's the only thing I remember.
Yeah.
And then she just ran away, which I also didn't expect.
Yeah. That's why I felt like there was a bit more going on. And like, I don't know, I picked up on those little things because I didn't feel like that would be necessary. And I was trying to pay attention to a lot more of the smaller details in this book, because I was noticing all of the little breadcrumbs that Cassandra Clare is leaving in places that I didn't notice before because I didn't know to look for them. So that was one of the things I noticed. And there's another one that I want to talk about as well that I don't know if you picked up on.
Now or later?
Yeah, in my general thoughts. I guess I could bring it up now.
Okay. I don't know. I have like 1 point left, and then we can talk about it. My last one is that I liked Jocelyn way more than I expected I would. Because I remember not liking her, and maybe it comes in the next book because she does like kind come with all these rules and stuff for Clary in the next book, and Clary's just kind of been free for the first 3 books, and then suddenly she has like rules like a normal teenager. So I think that's why I didn't like her. But then in this book, I really, really liked Jocelyn.
Okay, that's interesting. I also liked her in this. She was quite vulnerable in this book, so maybe that has a lot to do with it, because she had that whole part where she shared her story with Clary, like finally, and about what happened to her with Valentine and her son. And I don't know if I remembered the story coming from her. I just remembered the story being told. But I feel like in my mind, they found the story when they found the angel. But it was like partly with the angel, and then later it came from Jocelyn. So, yeah. But she was good. And I like that she and Luke finally got together.
I know. So cute.
Loved it. Oh. And I'm really happy for Luke though. Like, that must have been so hard for him, because he's literally loved her his whole life.
I know. I was gonna say, like, I'm so happy for him. And then it was so cute, that moment when Clary was like, "If you don't go after him, I will personally kill you." Oh, that was like iconic.
Yeah, that was super cute. Okay, so you want me to share some of my thoughts now?
Yes.
I liked how the characters were introduced in a way that it's not overwhelming. And I know who everyone is at this point. That I really appreciated, because I do know in some of the later books I get confused about who people are, because there's a lot more of them. So I feel like she did a good job here introducing all of the new characters, and I could visualize all of them. Their names were pretty distinct. So I'm appreciating it now.
That's true. Because in the last hours, those 4 boys, I do not know who is who out of those 4 boys. Like,
yeah,
so I get what you're saying. Like, all the characters at the moment are very distinct.
Yeah. And they're like super clear, you know, like how they're related to each other as well. No blurred lines. But in the other books, I'm like, which sibling is this? I need to draw a map.
I swear, maybe we should.
I think that'll be a good idea.
There probably is one on the internet.
Yeah, there is one, but it's like really big, so it's hard to see everything. I think I added it on our Google Drive actually. But yeah, we'll see.
We need one for just the 4. What are they called?
The Merry Thieves.
Merry Thieves. I was gonna say the Musketeers. I don't know. Starts with an M.
Yeah. Like something else. Okay. Then I also like that there was more things from Simon and Jace's perspectives. I really loved them. It was really fun. And I enjoyed the pacing. I thought this book was like paced really, really well. I also mentioned the world building, which I loved. And Simon and Clary's friendship, I love that they kind of made up, especially towards the end, and that they're like good with each other again, and how she pretty much saved his life, and he did the same for her as well. So I feel like they're in a good place again.
Yeah, like it's kind of like they came full circle. Like everything is how it's supposed to be, and stronger even.
Yeah, I love it. And I also really like Jace and Simon's relationship. I love them together. It's just gotten better in this book.
Yeah, like how they insult each other, but then it's not actually an insult. It's just like a little like budding friendship.
Yes. They have the best banter as well. They have some of the best lines in the book when they're making fun of each other. I love it. And we might talk about this a bit more later, but I also noticed how this book is actually setting up for future books. Whereas the first few times I read it, it just felt like this was the end now, and this was like a complete trilogy, which in ways it is because a lot of things are tied up. But I noticed that there was like little things that set it up for the next books, like Simon with the two girls, and not really having a resolution there.
Yeah.
And in the epilogue, I don't know if you noticed, but there was this moment where I think they walked into the place where the dance was happening, and Clary saw Magnus talking to someone.
And it was like a mystery someone.
Yes. And the way they described her, I was like, that.
Who do you think it is?
I think it was Tessa.
I also think it was Tessa. I was just going to say, I think it's Tessa.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was cool. And we don't know who it is, but I think it's Tessa.
I also think so. Because who else would it be? Because his other friend has like blue skin, doesn't she?
Yeah, Katerina.
Yeah. So it's not her, because I mean that would be mentioned more likely. So yeah, I picked up.
And the thing you said about noticing things being set up for the next books, I think you probably realize it more this time because you've already read the rest of the books and the whole series, whereas when you read it the first time, it does feel like it gets wrapped up. But that is a thing we're going to talk about later.
Yeah. And also how Clary insulted the Sealy Queen at the end as well. So much happened in the epilogue.
I know, it was the longest epilogue I've ever read in my life. Like the epilogue was longer than most of the chapters.
Yeah, I really enjoyed it though.
I know. I keep wondering, should Clary have said yes to the Sealy Queen? Because she thinks she has everything she wants now, but first of all, the favor she asked for, putting Malion on the council, it's not such a huge favor. Like it's not like she asked something that was like going to be detrimental or something, you know. I feel like Malion is quite a good knight, a good fairy, and he would be good on the council. So I feel like the favor she asked was very doable, and then in turn being able to get a favor from the Sealy Queen later would maybe really help her sometime. And I can't remember how this storyline plays out, but like maybe it's gonna bite her in the backside later.
Yeah.
So I feel like that was a bit stupid of her to say no to that. Hello. Why can't I see comments? I'm not in that thing. Oh, there we go.
Hi, Graham. Oh, that's okay.
That's okay, you're here.
Thanks for joining. We were just discussing some of our general thoughts about the book. Yeah, I think we wrapped up, and now we're going to get into our favorite things.
I just want to say one more thing for the general thoughts that I just thought of now. You mentioned you really like the pacing of the book, which, yes, I agree. But personally, I think the chapters were way too long. Like, I hate long chapters. It's one thing I really dislike in books. And these chapters were just way too long. Because I don't like stopping in the middle of a chapter. But I had to do it multiple times while reading this book because they were just insanely long. And then it feels like you're not making a lot of progress. I don't know. I just didn't like how long the chapters were.
Okay. I also noticed that they were quite long. I also had to stop in the middle of chapters sometimes, but I try to stop at like a scene break so that I'm like, okay, they're just talking about Carrie and blah, blah. Okay, now the next one is Simon. Okay, I'll stop there. It's fine.
I always stop at scene break. Always. Like, You can't stop in the middle of a scene. But I actually had to stop in the middle of when Jocelyn was telling her story. I like stopped in the middle of that so many times. I can't remember why. I was just busy or something, but I had to read that one scene in like so many chunks.
Like
And it was so annoying because actually you can put the favorite parts now because
okay.
I'm getting into that. Favorite, yay! My favorite part of the story was Jocelyn telling her story. That scene where Jocelyn was telling it, and the fact that I had to read that in tiny little chunks, like, was so frustrating because I was so like sucked into the story. I was so like into it and what she was saying, and my mind was like there, and then I kept having to stop, which was a bit frustrating. But yes, that was my favorite part.
I also really enjoyed that part. But my favorite personally was the epilogue. I love the epilogue.
The
I know.
epilogue that could be its own book.
Yeah, a lot happened, and I don't
Mm.
know, I was just loving it. And a lot of the things I mentioned before in my general thoughts, so many of them happened in the end, like Simon and Clary's friendship wrapping up, and then Jason Simon having a few banter scenes. We saw Tessa and the Sealy
We
Queen thing.
think we saw Tessa,
So we're not sure.
the
Not
Sealy
sure.
Queen, and Jace going to Amartis and getting the book.
The box that was really sweet as well.
Yeah.
And the Sealy Queen thing, which it's not going to be good.
Personally, I think she made a huge mistake.
Yeah, she definitely did.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely.
And also, my other favorite part was the setting. I just love the setting of the book. I love that it took place in the City of Glass, as our book title says.
Also, I love the place as well. And another thing I really enjoyed was following the mystery of Jace and Sebastian. I loved it, and all of the little hints and clues. I loved spotting them.
There were so many.
I got so mad at everyone else for not knowing, and I was just like, seriously.
In my head, it was so obvious.
Yeah.
But then again, it's probably because we've read the story, we know the story.
Yeah.
And I'd be quite curious to know how that was for someone who hasn't read the rest of the series.
And if any of you have read the book and have any favorite parts, do let us know. Love to hear some of your thoughts as well. But yeah, I think that's mostly what I loved. Did you want to move on to our least favorites?
Sure.
Okay. Did you want to go first?
Yeah, a little broken heart. I actually, that pot's empty.
I also struggled, but at the last minute, I wrote Max.
Oh, of course. I know. I was thinking my headspace was more in a criticism of the story, but I had no criticisms because this was my favorite book of the everything we've read so far. So, but yes, Max obviously, and I was very surprised at how little Max was in the story. I really expected him to be part of the story more than he was before he was killed. Yeah, he was hardly in the story, and I really expected him to be there a bit more.
Yeah. And I don't know, just my heart kind of broke when he also played a role in Isabel finding Jace there at the end when she saved him. Like, I don't know why I didn't remember that part because it broke my
Wait,
heart.
tell me quickly.
Because he had a little toy soldier that he brought with him when he came to stay with them. And that's how she tracked him with that.
Yeah. I know, I was a bit surprised. I thought it would track Max because Jace gave it to Max. But I mean, it was Jace's and he made it. So that was really cute. Oh,
It was so sad.
I know. And what was also really sad was how Jace reacted to Max's death. It's like the first time you actually hear him refer to Max as his little brother, and he was like just distraught over Max dying.
Not crying live.
Oh,
I got emotional. I cried through the whole epilogue. I was just like, I
really?
needed to read pages twice because I was just bored.
Oh,
Yeah.
I didn't cry reading it.
It takes a lot for you to cry at something.
It takes a lot for me to cry.
Yeah. Okay. So we don't have any Goodreads comments to discuss, sadly.
I'm so sad about it. We always had so many comments and no one left a comment this month.
It's sad. That's okay. We have a few interesting questions.
I know I always try to add something to the show that's a bit different every time. So
yeah. I think you come up with really good questions as well. I really suck at thinking of questions.
Thank you. That's the least I can do. That's my part in this whole thing.
Thank you. A lot of my energy goes to being obsessive about the Instagram.
She freaking mirror thing. She does like 95% of the Instagram. So I'm really, really grateful, and then I do the live show. So it works.
It works out well. That always happens with us. We always end up like...
We work really well together.
Yeah.
Parabatai.
The definition of it. Okay. So question number 1 was, do you think the series should have ended with this book and been a trilogy?
Should I answer first?
Yeah, you can go first.
Okay, I think it had the potential to end. Like, if it... Sorry, I just thought it was raining. It might be, but I don't think so. Anyway, sorry.
Yes.
If it had to end, I think it would have ended very nicely there. Like, everything wrapped up pretty well, and there weren't really loose ends. Like, the only loose end I could pick up on was Jace's suspicion about Sebastian's body flowing down the river and being gone. Like, he doesn't believe Sebastian's body is gone. That's the only thing I could pick up on. And like you said, the thing with who Magnus was talking to. And but as for the rest of the things, like, things wrap up pretty nicely, and I think it really had the potential to end.
Okay.
Yeah. Like, because Jace and Clary are finally together, Luke and Jocelyn are finally together. Simon is comfortable in himself, and he's like has like these 2 girls that like him, and he can like go his own way, you know. And I don't know if you can think of anything else, but like, I feel like everything tied up pretty nicely. But if you have read the rest of the series and you know the rest of the story, I think that's when you'll be able to tell that the story is not finished. But I think if those books weren't there, or if you haven't read them before, it would feel like a pretty good end.
Yeah, I agree with you. Like, she could have ended it there if she didn't get another book deal for the rest of the series. It would have been fine, because when you read it for the first time, you don't expect there to be more. But like we said, we saw all of the little hints this time, but it's because we know about the future. So as a first time reader, it could have ended and it wouldn't have made a difference to you. But for us, I don't think it should have ended. I feel like she made a really good decision with continuing on with this series, because it's become something like really, really amazing. And she's a genius, honestly, with how she's integrated all of these things, and the fact that she left all of these small, small hints in this that we didn't pick up on, but she knew to put it there.
I think she set herself up pretty well for continuing the series. Like, she really set it up in a way where it could carry on or it could end. Like, she really works around that really, really well.
Oh, great. Okay,
Yes.
next question. Now that we've finished the first trilogy, how do you feel about the series so far?
So, like I said, the third book was my favorite. Like, it's just my favorite out of them all. Is it yours?
Yes, it is, so far. But also, like, in my head, in the past at least, I would read them so quickly, these first three, that it felt like one book and one story. So I always loved that story together. So, but after separating it, like reading one every month instead of just speeding through them, I feel like her writing really developed, and she's more comfortable in all of the characters. She was writing from multiple perspectives, and I think Cassie Clare does an ending to a trilogy or an ending really, really well. Her endings are great. They either rip out your heart or they make you feel really, really cozy and warm inside. Yeah.
I agree. And I also said I found the second book the funniest. But I also wanted to say, mentioning that you're separating it, because normally I would also read them one after the other. Hello.
Hi.
I would also read them one after the other, and they would also kind of mush into one. But now, having separated them, they do actually feel like three distinguishable books, and I can actually think, oh, in the first one this happened, in the second one this happened, and the second one was really funny, and the third one took place in Alicante, and like I can actually separate them, whereas before you like really can't. And I agree with you about the writing and stuff. Maybe that's why with each book that goes by, I like it more and I enjoy myself more.
Because, like, with everything, writing is just practice, and writers always improve, which is really, really great. Yeah, but I also feel like that I like this one the most so far, and I'm excited for the rest. I'm really looking forward to starting the others. Gotta hold myself back from reading them all in one go.
I don't know. I've really enjoyed reading them separately, to be honest.
Also,
it also makes that you don't get tired of like the world and the books and the series. Just a side note, it is raining. I wasn't going crazy.
Oh, that sounds nice.
I can smell it. Did you have any other thing to say for that?
Just that I do remember before, when I was reading them all in one go, trying to finish it all, you kind of get a bit burnt out if you do try to like read them one after the other. So I feel like how we're doing it now, and reading a book a week as we do in a month with other books in between, really helps us to appreciate it a lot more.
Yes. Definitely, my lighting is going so dark. But yes, I agree. It's like really, it's making a difference this time. But I must say, like, when we did read them, one after the other, that was good too for like that time. But then
Yeah.
reading it differently this time around feels like a whole new experience.
Yeah. Really cool. Okay. Next question. Do you have a favorite character from the first trilogy?
Okay, this one was a bit difficult because if you do or do not know already, Magnus is my favorite character of everything. Shadowhunters. He's my favorite character in all the books. And I don't feel like he really was there that much in this first trilogy, so I can't even say him. And as for all the other characters, there is not a character that like majorly stands out for me. Like I used to really love Isabel, but she also hasn't had that much time. Like yes, she did more in this book, but I can't say she like stood out incredibly like to be a favorite, you know?
Yeah. I feel like I appreciated the plot a lot more than individual characters because I already know these characters and I love all of them. So it's like telling me pick your favorite dog. I don't know.
That's true.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I just
that's a
said
good point.
I just said here probably Jace. I don't know if I had to pick someone because I can't imagine like this story without him. And he's like a really important character and I really enjoyed seeing things from his perspective sometimes. And I felt really bad for how he was being tortured all of the time. Poor baby.
I know. I was a bit annoyed at how that all played out, like him believing he has demon blood and me being like, it's so obvious you don't.
Yeah.
But and then he was like torturing himself over it, and I'm like, this is so stupid. But something we haven't mentioned that just came to my mind is that we finally find out that Clary and Jace are not siblings.
Yes. Oh my goodness.
And I'm so grateful. Like when I was halfway through this book, I was like, when is this going to happen? So I actually Googled, when do they find out? And it said City of Glass. So I was like, okay, because I was like so tired of this. And I'm so tired of people always bringing that up when they talk about this. And like, yes, I can see the flaw. I see where you're coming from. I see that that shouldn't have been a plot point. But it was. And I just, whenever people talk about this book, or these books, it's all they can talk about. And whenever like incest or whatever is brought up in any conversation, they're like, okay, Cassie Clare, calm down. And I'm like, I don't know if you've seen comments like that, but I see comments like that all the time.
It bothers me a lot too because that's not the story. There's actually like real books where there's like actual proper incest and they don't get called out ever. People think, I don't know, like I feel like people just want an excuse to hate on Cassie Clare sometimes.
Maybe because she's like so successful and
yeah, people get
it's
jealous.
gonna happen. And she has like 1 million books.
Yeah. And she has like a cult following. So people either like are obsessed with her books or they just avoid them.
Yeah, and I feel like not that it's too late, but not a lot of people would give her a chance if they weren't like us and started when they were teenagers. Like now that they're like 18, no wait, it's more than that. It's like 20 books in or something. Like no one's gonna give her a chance, so they just want reasons to not read them.
Yeah, people have tried to cancel her.
But you just can't because we love the books too much. We love the shadow world.
Yeah. And like there's some really big YouTubers as well that are really obsessed with her books, and they've had like interviews with her, everything. So
I know, I've seen that, and I was like, jealous. I'm like,
one day.
I know my books all don't line up on my bookshelf. I know they're all different sizes, but I do love you too. Because I feel like all those people have like, they have like all the sets of the soft covers, all the sets of the hard covers, everything, and like everything matches, and they're like, okay, you come do this interview.
And the special editions. Oh, some people have so many copies, and her special editions are really cool looking. I had to stop myself because I keep seeing the Clockwork Angel one in the shops close to me. I'm like, you already own one copy. You own one copy. You don't need the special one.
Exactly. I saw the special one of what's that first book of Magnus and Alex's? Red Scrolls of Magic.
Oh, okay.
I saw like a special copy of Red Scrolls of Magic, and I'm like, okay, you don't need to. You have one, and then I'll have like one odd special copy, and the rest will be normal. Like, what would that help?
Yeah, I kind of want the anniversary editions because I feel like that's an okay thing to justify. I'll make it make sense to myself later when I have a bigger bookshelf.
I'm just so happy that my Chain of Iron is a collector's first edition.
Me too, but I'm upset because my two don't match.
What do you
The
mean?
one has a dust jacket,
and
the other doesn't have a dust jacket, and I'm like, why did you do this to me?
At least you have two hardcovers. My Chain of Gold is a paperback. My Chain of Iron is a hardcover, so I feel like that's worse.
I know a lot of people on here, they end up like selling the copies that doesn't fit their collection. They do it a lot. They're like, I'm unholding this one because I bought the paperback to match my set. And I'm like, my mom would probably kill me if I did that. Honestly.
I don't know. I just don't see the point really. And like it gives my bookshelf some character.
It does.
Okay.
Okay. Last question. Has your opinion on any of the characters changed since the first book?
I just said that I like Vampire Simon way more than I like Human Simon.
Oh yeah.
He's just a better person. He's like, I know you liked him in the first book, but I found him a little bit annoying, but now he's not anymore, and he's just like a stronger person.
Mm-hmm.
It's not only like he didn't only change because he became a vampire, he also like changed because he became a strong person.
Yeah. I was being cautious about Simon because I couldn't remember when he started doing things that were going to annoy me, but I think it's in the next book. So
honestly, I can't remember anything that's gonna happen in the next book. Like, I only have like that, not to give spoilers to anyone who hasn't read it, but that like floating house thing.
Oh yeah, I
know it's not a floating house, but the floating house thing. That's the only thing I remember in my head. Nothing else.
But you know, they set it up now because we've established that both Maya and Isabel like him. But who does he date? One of them? Does he date both of them? That's what he did.
Bat is coming.
Yeah. I mentioned Isabel here. I don't know if my opinions necessarily changed. I just feel like she stood out a bit more in this one. And like the whole thing with Max really affected her, and like the way that she was really rooting for Jace and Clary, even though she didn't really say it at the beginning. And then at the end, when they actually can be together. She kept like being like, Aileen, shut up, just stop, you're gonna ruin this.
I know. I really like that too. I really like how she was about that too.
Yeah, that was super, super cute.
Yeah.
And I'm sad that we didn't really get anything from her perspective.
I know. I wonder if we do in the next books, because I remember really liking Isabel, and now I'm like, why?
Maybe we do. I'm not sure, but I hope we do because I really liked her. Yeah.
I like her whip. It's like the best weapon anyone can have.
It's pretty cool. Although it is gold. It's a gold whip. They even said it in this one that something gold flashed to Sebastian's wrist. And it was the whip.
I know in the first book it was described as silver. Like the color of the whip changed between the first whip and first book and the second and third book. The color of the whip changed. Also, I'm pretty sure in the second book or the first, one of them, her whip like literally gets like broken.
Yeah.
And in this book, they say that she like inherited it, or like her father gave it. Someone gave it to her. I don't know if you remember that. But they said the whip is special because someone handed it down to her and gave it to her. And I'm like, but it just broke in like a previous book.
I thought her necklace was handed down because I know for a fact her necklace is handed down.
That was, but the necklace hasn't been spoken about yet. But they did.
They did talk about it a bit.
But they didn't talk about where it came from. They just said that it did its thing when Sebastian took the towers down. But they haven't spoken about where it came from. But they did say the whip was given to her by someone, I can't remember who now, and it was like passed down. And then I was like, but no, it wasn't. It broke in like the previous book.
I don't really have like a good visual of what it's actually made of, because maybe they can fix it. Don't know.
I believe, or like my memory tells me that in the first book it says it, because we know it's like electrum, but like I think there was some adamus in it. Like I believe that's what the first book said. But like I said, the color of it changed between the first book and now, so I don't know.
It's still silver in my mind.
It's silver in my mind also, and I think on one of the book covers that Isabel is on, it's silver on the book cover, I think.
Okay. I think she's on the next Mortal Instruments book.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Is there anything else that you wanted to talk about?
Not that I can remember now. And I feel like there's so much that happened. We haven't even spoken about Valentine.
Oh, yeah.
Like, there's so much that happened, and we're just, like, skipping the whole plot of the story.
But I feel like he got what he deserved because he was being so vain, and he was getting a bit of a god complex going on, thinking that he can recreate the race of Shadowhunters how he wants it to be. So he got what was coming to him, honestly.
And I loved that scene on the shore of Lake Lynn. I loved it, like how Clary just used her last energy to make one little change to her rune, and then
oh my goodness, I started crying in that part.
Did you cry at every part?
No, okay, that part in the epilogue, because in that part she was like, because Jace just died, like he died, he was killed, and then she kept thinking about him and what he would want her to do, and like how much he believed in her, and how like when he was like he didn't treat her like she was breakable, whereas like Simon and whatever they did, and like that like really resonated with me. Because
and she also sorry?
No, you can hear.
No, just finish.
I just feel like you need that to develop as a person. Like you can't grow into who you are if like everyone around you is like sheltering you from everything. So she really needed that to grow into herself and establish who she is as a person away from Simon and her mom. And I think Jace really helped with that.
Yeah. And also, when she was thinking that Jace would be so mad at her if she gave up, and he would want her to use her lost everything she had to fight because he would be mad if he knew that she just gave up.
Yeah.
And then what was crazy was that part where Clary said she could see through Valentine's body. She could see the lake and the angel through his body. I was like,
I just thought of something that we could do. Did you have any quotes that you liked?
I don't actually. I was literally going to ask you the same thing.
Hang on, let me make a banner real quick. Just because I know how to do it now.
Oh, and how sad was it that Jace couldn't get himself to go to Valentine's funeral?
Yeah. I felt so bad for Jace all the time, honestly. Let's see.
I know. And the thing is, like, now I want to feel good. Now I want to feel happy for him. Now I want to be like, yes. But then I know what's coming.
Yeah.
He just doesn't get it easy.
Ooh, I love like the full circle thing of that. I think it's Latin. I don't know if I can say this.
Wait. Mene mene tekel awesome.
Yes, that. So there's that quote, and there's and Jay says with a faint smile, "You don't recognize it. It's from the Bible, vampire, the old one." Blah blah blah. Just because I'm Jewish doesn't mean I've memorized the Old Testament. It's the writing on the wall. God hath numbered thy kingdom and brought it to an end. Thou art weighted in the balance and found wanting. It's a portent of doom. It means the end of an empire. And they mentioned that like in chapter 3. And then at that scene, Clary throws it back in his face. I love that.
That was pretty cool. And I like forgot what it meant when she did that. So now that you read that back to me, that's pretty cool.
And they also introduced the Ave Atque Vale.
Ave Atque Vale.
Yeah, Hail and Farewell.
They introduced that in this book. I thought that was...
I hadn't heard in the other books. And because they explained what it meant in this one, because they were in a graveyard. Yeah.
Oh.
Luke and Clary, they walk through the graveyard like way... I think also in chapter 3.
Oh, when Clary thought she saw her own grave.
Yeah, she started to lose.
That happened.
That was trippy.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
That's funny because maybe because I already am so familiar with that saying, I didn't even realize that it hasn't been mentioned.
Yeah, I expected it before because I don't know, I like to keep an eye on certain things that are specifically fandom related just for potential tattoo ideas in the future.
I remember that one for an Instagram quote that I knew I was going to use for many years, and then I used it.
And then also on that page, they said, the clave and the law, what Clary can do overturns everything they know to be true. No human being can create new runes or draw the sort of runes Clary can. Only angels have that power. And since Clary can do that, well, it seems like a portent. Things are changing, the laws are changing. And that's like a theme in this whole book, which I also really loved, seeing how they were making change and how the whole time Jace was trying to protect Clary from being taken advantage of because he knew if the other shadow hunters find out what she can do, they would be scared of her.
Yeah.
And
or
then
they would like,
yeah.
or they would like exploit her.
Yeah. So they'd like either be scared of her and lock her up, or like what they did with Simon pretty much, because he's different, because he's a daylighter, a vampire who can walk in the sun. They just locked him up because he was different, and they were probably going to do some experiments on him. So
Oh my goodness.
Sorry, yeah.
I was like, oh my goodness, how annoying was that Inquisitor? I could not stand him. Why was every Inquisitor bad?
I don't know, but it's just like a running theme. I think it's probably just like showing that governments are fickle.
But it's going to change, right? Because Gia becomes the Inquisitor, doesn't she? Gia Penhallow.
So
And
yeah,
she makes a really good Inquisitor. Or does she become consul?
I don't know.
Because what was his name? Malachi. Malachi was consul, and he's obviously not going to be consul anymore. So the consul and the Inquisitor needs to be replaced.
I don't know which one goes to which, but also like Alex's dad, Robert, he also ends up going into the government there at some point, but I don't know when that happens.
Oh, doesn't he become?
I think he becomes
and Gia becomes consul.
Maybe. Oh, also this quote, also like at the end, that end scene that we were talking about earlier, when the angel can grant her wish, so she could ask for anything, she thought dizzily, anything, an end to pain or world hunger or disease or for peace on earth. But then again, perhaps these things weren't in the power of angels to grant, or they would already have been granted, and perhaps people were supposed to find these things for themselves. I really like that.
Yeah, I remember that. That was nice.
Oh, they were just being at the end as well. They had like really like funny banter. I will totally support you. I'm all about support. Support is my middle name. So that's
no wonder you didn't tell me your middle name. Sorry, that was funny.
Oh, and then also on that page, when Clary was like, "Just promise me you won't cut me out of your life totally," because I know how girls get, they hate their boyfriends having a best friend who's a girl. So just promise me you won't cut me out of your life totally, that we can still hang out sometimes. And then Simon was like, "Sometimes? Clary, you're crazy. I mean that I would never date a girl who insists that I cut you out of my life. It's non-negotiable. You want a piece of all this fabulousness? Well, my best friend comes along with it." It was just so cute.
Oh no, that was funny.
Yeah. How they loved each other.
Yeah. Like we said, like I'm so glad their friendship is where it should be.
Yeah. Agreed. And then also took a picture of the page where they introduced the girl that Magnus was talking to, the white dress with a cloud of pale brown hair.
That has to be Tessa.
It has to be. But spoilers, we can't.
I know. It's just so fun. But you know what I thought that was? You know, Tessa shows up in the last book, in the last paragraph. Not paragraph, like, what's it called? Chapter. Like the last book of, like in City of Heavenly Fire, Tessa shows up in the last chapter, or in the epilogue, one of the two. And then I thought that was this scene, and I was like, Tessa's not supposed to show up now. And then like she went away, but like I honestly, that was my thought process. I was like, this doesn't happen now.
Okay. Yeah. I didn't pick up on this before, so I never had a reason to before, honestly, because I never finished the Infernal Devices. So my mind is like, Cassie Clare is a genius.
Mm-hmm.
She's a genius.
I know. And the first time I read the books, I didn't read them in publication order. I read them in like series order. So I read the first 6 of the Mortal Instruments, and then Tessa shows up in the last book. And then I read the Infernal Devices, and then I found it pretty cool that Tessa had already been introduced, and then now we were seeing her story. Like, I thought that was pretty cool, but now obviously it's different. But now I just had like a little spark in my head. Hey, we did actually see her, and we're about to go into her story, and secretly we saw her, and we knew we saw her, but it wasn't never said that we saw her, but we saw her.
Yeah. I think authors won't really mention something unless it's important, if they're like a good author, you know. So we gotta remember everything that they say, even if it sounds like meaningless, because the whole time, even with the boys being swapped, the whole time they kept being like, oh, this one lady, she was pregnant when she died.
I know, but to me that was like, how's no one else seeing this?
Yeah, right. Especially 8 months pregnant.
Yeah.
They not watch Grey's Anatomy.
But then also when someone said that when Sebastian was born, his eyes were as black as like pits, and then I think Jocelyn said this, and then Clary was like, "This is Jay she's talking about." I'm like, Jace's eyes aren't black as pits.
I like you'd think a teenage girl crushing on someone, you pick up on that. I would have picked up on that.
And it's such a huge detail that Jace's eyes are like gold, like the color of gold. They're like not even hazel, they're gold. And like his eyes was black as pits. That's Jace she's talking. No.
It was so obvious.
And then she even noted how black Sebastian's eyes were.
Yeah.
Hello.
And like she sensed how wrong he is all of the time. Like she knew, like, girl, trust your instincts.
Mm-hmm.
Just please.
Yeah. Also saying that it was so cute when who was it? Aileen said, "Isn't it weird that you thought he was your brother?" And she was like, "No, thinking he was my brother was weird. This feels right." And I was like, "Oh, that was like."
The one line Aileen said that was actually helpful, because everything else she was saying was really annoying.
I don't understand, because I love Aileen, and who's this? Who's this? Because that's not Aileen. She just has the same name.
I remember her being a bit like blunt as well. I think in the, what is that called? The Dark Artifice.
Infernal Devices. Dark Artifices. But she's not. But like her in that book, I'm not even talking about her being blunt. She was just stupid in this one. Like she was just so annoying. And in my head, she's like badass, cool ass girl, and I don't know. I was just so disappointed by her.
It's okay. We'll see her again soon. I'm a bit sad to be leaving Jason them for the next book, because we're going to go into the past now. So
into what's that series called? Infernal Devices.
Yes. Yeah. This is also half why nobody wants to read these books, because everything is so complicated.
You can't keep track of the series.
Oh my goodness.
Speaking of, I want to remake my video about how to read Shadowhunters. So that's
I kind of want to make one about it. Like, I have an idea of like a really aesthetic thing, but I might make a reel or something, because I just want to have all of my books in a shot for like no reason. That's just what I want.
A reel sounds good.
Yeah, might do that.
I'm gonna make a video. I already have it planned. Awesome. But yeah, are we finished?
Yeah, I think we can wrap up
This
now.
series is like a way of life. Totally.
Yeah, it really is.
It really
Also,
is.
are you and Shireen going to read these books? Because you should. I saw she picked up her Kindle again recently, and she's reading Prisoner of Azkaban. So tell her to join us. Okay.
Yes, we're starting a new trilogy next month. Perfect timing.
Yeah, exactly. Okay. So thank you all so much for joining us and participating in the comments. It really, really means a lot to us. Yeah. And what are you reading, Graham? You should also be reading something. But I do hope she's enjoying reading them. I know she's been working on them for a while. But yeah, thank you all for talking to us in the comments, and we hope that if you are reading the series with us, that you're enjoying it just as much as we are. But maybe they won't be enjoying it as much as us because we are super fans. So
But I feel like people who are joining, there are some people joining us who are also fans, and we've seen that from the past Goodreads comments. So
yeah, I hope next month
anyway,
interaction again. That'll be fun.
Maybe with the new trilogy. Be sure to join us next month for Clockwork Angel.
Yes,
that's right. I never know the order of Clockwork Angel, Clockwork Prince, and Clockwork Princess.
Yes,
that's the order. I get those so confused. Okay, Clockwork Angel next month. If you want to follow us, you can find us on Instagram, Goodreads, and Twitter at the Parabatai BC. All the links will be in the description. I can't put anyway because of the mirror effect. All the links will be in the description for that once this video is live. The links will be there. And then if you join us on our social medias, you won't miss any announcements, and you'll be able to see when our next live show is. And it's also just a fun time because we post a bunch of Shadowhunter pictures and quotes. And if you like Shadowhunters, why not join?
Yes, and please tag us if you post anything, if you're reading the books. Even if you're reading them not in the same order as us, we still love to see, because as you have heard, we love looking at these books because they're stunning. So
speaking of, the Whispering Room scene just came out, a rewritten version of the Whispering Room scene, and I'm about to read that. I'm excited.
is that in the emails?
Yes.
Okay, I gotta check. I haven't checked my email.
Yeah, it's like I've downloaded. It's literally just like one chapter. It's just that scene rewritten. So I'm excited to read it before going into Chain of Iron, because that's what I'm about to read next.
Okay. Yeah, I'm also gonna read it. We're gonna buddy read it next week, and we're vlogging. I'm excited. But if you want some extra content, I think you can subscribe to Cassie Clare's newsletter, because she sends out like free fun things and little snippets of stories, and yeah, it's a good time. So
yes. She always sends chapters of, or like paragraphs or chapters or little scenes of the book she's busy writing, like the next one that's about to come out. But I never read them. I want to always read the book in its entirety. But like We JC of Clary Christmas came out at Christmas. That was cool. Read that, and now the Whispering Room scene, a rewritten Whispering Room scene, is out. So I'm so excited to read that.
Yeah, I'll try find the link to that, and then I'll also put it down below, because I think that would be cool if you've not subscribed yet. Okay. Thank you all for coming, and we'll see you next time.
Bye.